Contrary to what 99% of beginner drone pilots think, the secret to epic drone footage is not sticking your drone all the way up in the air and pressing record on that amazing flying camera. 99% of beginner drone pilots don't realise that by flying too high, their footage risks looking the same as everybody else's and, dare I say, a bit boring. In today's live flight, we're going to show you 6 scenarios where flying lower creates killer shots that people will not be able to take their eyes off. After these flights, we'll go back to the studio and rate all our shots out of 50 against our framework for stunning aerial cinematography. But for now, let's get started. Folks, we have spoiled you today. It's difficult to take a bad shot here. Look at this, we're flying forwards. Wow, this looks amazing. And this is the before shot. How are we going to show you something that's better than this? This is gorgeous. Look at that leading line go through there. Look at the light coming in from this side. I love this. But I think it's fair to say there's not a huge sense of motion. I'm flying forwards at full speed here. We're not exactly high in the air, but if we bring it down a little bit, let's see if we can enhance the sense of motion and make things a bit more exciting. As you can see, we're flying a good bit lower now, keeping an eye on that downward sensor. We're about 3 meters above the ground. We're going to fly forwards full speed. This is kind of bold stuff. Flying upwards at the same time, skirting along the ground. There's loads of motion there at the bottom of the frame. We're on 1/50th of a second shutter, so we've got motion blur. We've revealed what's on the other side of that hill. Look at the light, look at the purple heather. Whoo! My heart was in my mouth a little bit there. Having said that, if I crashed into some ferns, it would be easy enough to retrieve it. But nonetheless, the sense of motion there was exciting. I'm excited, my heart is pounding a little bit. What a shot! Running those 2 shots through our 5-step framework for great aerial cinematography, you can see that we've added tremendous motion, which was the point of the exercise in this example, but we've also added a ton of extra depth and suspense just by lowering the drone, and we've resulted in a much higher score for the second shot. A lovely vista, I'm sure you will agree. We want to highlight this stone wall feature, maybe do a little rotation around it. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in the background there. And unless you wanted to show that, which I absolutely do not, we need to find a way of getting rid of it. Cars, tents, ugh, no good, even though this shot is quite good. So, you guessed it. Let's get the drone down and see if we can obstruct the view of some of those unwanted elements in the frame. Looking so much better already. There's still a couple vehicles in the shot. We don't want that. Can we reposition? Oh, look at that, as if by magic, it is gone. Nice one. Now, there's only so much we're going to be able to do here. There are some tents in the background, but nonetheless, this is still a big improvement. The other compositional concept you want to keep in mind as well is if you do have a focal point like this stone wall, you want it to fill the frame a little bit so the subject is actually popping off the screen, which we have here now. So let's try and fly a little rotation. Hopefully we don't reveal too many unwanted items in the frame. I know there's a few distracting tents a bit further down, but nothing too bad. And that's a big improvement, I think we can safely say, compared with the original shot, which just showed this awful mess just on the other side of this hill. A powerful technique for getting rid of unwanted elements in your frame. You can see the impact of lowering the drone in the scores. Confirmation of what your eyes are telling you. Shot 2 is so much better. This is where things get exciting. Active tracking the car. Oh, not too fast, Alina. That's quite good. Yeah, let's go with that. Perfect. Yeah, just keep that speed. Now look at this. The camera's pointed down at the car. The drone is not high, but at the end of the day, we can't really see where the car is going. It is a great, exciting shot, but I think you've figured where we're going with this. If we lower the drone down a little bit, we'll get to see where the car is going, in addition to enjoying all this amazing tracking action. Oh, I always get excited doing this. Right, well, let's pull over here, Alina. Fantastic, thank you. And we'll turn around and do that again with the car a little bit higher. This time we've lowered the altitude of the drone. Let's go, Alina. Hopefully we can see where the car is going this time. That makes it a much more interesting shot. Yes, we can. Look at that. Now we can modify the framing a little bit mid-flight here in active track. That allows us just to get the car in the lower right third there, so we have some looking space. I'm actually a bit jammed up there to the car, it's a bit too close. Let's see if I can pull further away just to get some more space. There we go, that's a nice shot. There's some nice composition in there. Yes! Not a million miles away from those telephone poles, but that's okay. I did an extensive site survey, so I was completely confident we weren't going to hit those. That was all a bit exciting. So in summary, if the drone is too high, you can't see where your moving subject is going. You want some kind of context for why you're filming it in the first place. So get the drone down at some point in the shot at least, so we can see where that moving subject is headed. This looks, I'm not gonna lie, this looks amazing. Let's fly backwards a little bit and let's just enjoy this landscape. Wow, well, it looks amazing. The light looks amazing. The exposure is balanced. I'm really, really happy with this shot. I like it a lot. However, let's bring the drone down a little bit and see if it just enhances anything. Flying forwards at full speed in normal mode. We have this hill sloping down from the left. It's like a layer in the shot. We want to see what's on the other side, but on the whole, I think this shot is more immersive. When you fly high in the sky, you lose the sense of scale of your landscape. It is interesting looking down on things, but it's more exciting to be in the moment, to be in the landscape, and in this instance, I think it has resulted in a more interesting shot. You can see the difference in the scores when we look at the two shots side by side. Lowering that drone has created a more immersive scene. Now, if we lower that drone even further, we get a completely different shot, but it is even more immersive. We're not flying that high in this shot. Things look nice, it's a lovely shot. We can do a rising maneuver. Yeah, this is nice. The only thing is, I think we can do better if we get it a little bit lower. Let's check what's underneath us. There's a whole bunch of trees underneath us. Now I'm going to very carefully navigate this down towards the trees. Okay, I've safely maneuvered myself down a bit lower this time in amongst the trees. I'm not for taking any risks here. Hazardous stuff when you get close to trees. There can always be little branches that get in the way, but look at that. Oh no, I've completely obstructed my view of the landscape. Good stuff. These trees are a depth cue. We can add some extra depth into the shot. Now we fly up from behind the trees. The trees are a foreground element in our frame. We reveal the background and we have a much more interesting shot. Of course, I was not just showing you those trees, that would be boring. We fly up and reveal the background. We've created depth in that shot, and that is yet another reason why you want to get that drone down and not just stick it all the way up in the air. Pretty self-explanatory when you see the shots side by side. A huge difference in suspense, depth, motion and composition when we introduce a foreground element like these trees. The parallax effect gives us really cinematic looking shots. We're obsessed with it here. To get that, we normally have to use longer focal lengths. Here we have the 3x telephoto lens here on the Air 3. You can do it with a digital zoom on the Mini 4 Pro, for example. We've selected Alina here. Let's do a point of interest, just round to the right hand side. A nice rotation. Oh, it will be so parallaxy. Not really. And the reason is the drone is too high in the sky. There's no depth in the shot. There I am. Let's go around the other way for a comparison with the shot that we will produce in a second. Right, Alina's standing there looking great. The drone is rotating round now. That's not really doing it for me. The drone's not high, but it's still too high. Let's fix it. We get the drone down a little bit. Not much, it just needs to be a few meters. Look at this, now the background is coming into focus. There's the road winding away in the distance. Now we've got some parallax effect. We've got some foreground in the form of Alina and the grass. We've got some midground and background. Also, we've removed the unwanted element from the frame, which is me and the car. Let's reverse that so we can see the proper shot going the other direction. Okay, it's going to be a bit faster this time. Point of interest locked on Alina there, looking great. The background comes into focus and that is the parallax effect. So it's just yet another example of just because you can fly high doesn't mean you should. In terms of scores, night and day when we introduce the depth into the shot that comes from flying lower. Hope you found that interesting, folks. If you want to continue your aerial education, check out these two YouTube videos on the screen now, and we will see you in the next one.